Are we live on all platforms? I always
We'll hang. We'll hang here for a little bit.
Richard, this is our engineer. His name's Tim. We call him Tim Janier.
Tim Janier.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, so he's our on-site engineer today, making sure that we look good, fancy.
We sound good,
I
all
like
that good
this.
stuff. Yeah, right?
I like that.
So
Who makes that?
we started our morning show back on March 1st. We did the afternoon show, and they moved us to mornings.
Right on.
We started streaming like on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook, so people can
Cool.
see these beautiful faces.
Such a disappointment.
Every
I love
day.
it.
Yeah.
Such a disappointment.
Yeah, it's hell for them.
I love it. And as a 53-year-old, I'm.
Are we good? Are we good, Tim Janier? Perfect.
All right.
All right, Kotter, Marshall, Rock 1061. We're down here at Trustee's Garden, the Rock 1061 20th anniversary show. Of course, we're joined by Richard Patrick of Filter. Sir, it's an honor.
It is an honor to be here in Savannah.
Thank you so much. Now, when the station launched 20 years ago, Filter was one of the part of one of the very first concerts
Cool.
the station ever put on.
Yeah, I remember.
So when we
Kinda.
when we started to do the 20th anniversary talk, we're like, we want bands that helped launch this station.
Cool.
So we look back and it's like, hey man, they were on one of the first shows. Let's see if Filter can do it.
Right on.
You're here. Thank you so much.
We're here.
You're here.
20 years later. Ish.
We're here minus a bass player, but he's on his way.
So how terrifying is that to know that you go on stage here in like 5 hours ish and you don't have a member of your band?
Oh, that's normal. That's part. That's when you're playing. When you're in rock and roll, anything goes.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there a situation where you may ask a band member, or excuse me, a member of the audience to come up and play bass today?
We need
That would be cool.
Right.
Yeah. It's very rare that someone would know all 20 songs.
every
you
song.
know.
Here's how we play them live. So just
But
jump right in.
I actually, for sound check, I played bass
Okay.
and sang at the same time, which
Is it obviously that's a much a big difference for you than a
Right.
live show. How does it
well,
feel?
it's funny because it's like, okay, wait a minute, I wrote this, I should know this, and I'm sitting there because I played the bass on the record,
Right.
And I'm sitting there playing the bass, like, oh yeah, I remember this, like, you know.
It's all coming back.
It's like riding a bike, man.
It's so wild because you get on stage after the epidemic that we've
Yeah.
had, the pandemic, and it's like, oh yeah, this is what we do. This is kind of cool.
Now,
Yeah.
is this your first show back since?
This is our first show.
that's
Last
awesome.
week was supposed to be our first show, but it got canceled due to rain,
oh,
which we're not going to talk about.
No.
We're not going to talk about raining out.
positive vibes only.
Yeah.
Positive
All
vibes.
we need. That's all we need today.
All right, well, we're talking about records and albums. Obviously, you've been busy. I mean, you had a new song that got put out about a year ago at this point,
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and Prayers, and then you've been working on multiple projects that we've
Yeah.
seen. Tell me if this is true or false, because I dived the internet for this, but you talked about the sequel to Short Bus, which is Rebus, but I don't think that's happening at this point.
That's
is that
not
correct?
happening. Yeah, that's
and then
not.
you were talking about doing a 20th anniversary edition of Title of Record.
Thinking about doing something like that, but
Yeah,
in all honesty, the 20th anniversary came and went.
it did. It did.
So
Pandemic.
Hey, you know,
it's wild because I've also taken up movie scoring, like
Uh-huh.
composing for film, and that takes a big chunk out of it of my time. But it's also extremely rewarding, and it's awesome to deal with directors and stay at home and raise my kids and that kind of thing.
well, let's dive into that. We'll come back to
Sure.
to album stuff. So you've done a couple movies. You did one with your brother. You did Last Rampage that came out
Yes.
a few years back, and then you also did a Jim Carrey film, Dark Crimes, back
Right.
in 2016. So
Right.
obviously, you just said you're working on some new stuff. Can you tell us what you're working
Yes,
on?
I'm working on a film now called The Chariot, and it stars John Malkovich.
Okay,
Which
That's
is badass. And I have some other great movies coming up, but I can't talk about it.
Ah, right.
Secret stuff.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the movie scoring, I mean, is it the director sitting down with you going, this is kind of the feel I want, or are you kind of given free reign to do stuff?
I start off with free reign. I
Reel you back in?
I send them ideas like this is kind of where I want to go, and I usually get positive feedback. And then what I do is I come up with the first draft of music, and then they come in and then they start going, okay, I need this for this scene, I need this for this scene. Usually there's not too many comments, but when there are, it's
Yeah.
the director's call. So I get the notes, and I'm just all about changing it and making it perfect for
So
them.
it's just you scoring these films. Like you
Yeah.
don't have a partner in there helping
Actually,
you?
I had Tobias Enhouse for Dark Crimes and
Okay.
The Last Rampage, but I did the second with Ryan Phillippe. That was all me. and that was pretty fun.
How
But
daunting is that when you're like, it's just you? Like you go down into the basement in your studio and you're like, fuck, what am I gonna do?
oh, can you say that?
This
Yeah.
is, we're just live
We're
streaming.
live
We're
streaming.
not on the air.
Oh yeah,
today.
do you just want to say some cuss words right now?
Fucking A, man!
Yeah, shit. What other cuss words are there? Bitch.
Yeah, there's all kinds.
Bitches.
Cotter, you say one.
Asshole.
There you go.
Hashtag,
No,
hashtag asshole.
that's what
That's-
people
that's-
like to call us.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
So no, I mean it is obviously pretty daunting to just go down there and,
Yeah.
and just you're the fuel behind.
It's an hour and a half of music, and it's supposed to be another character in the film, and you know it's a little scary when you hit send and you send it off to the director, and he's like, okay, that's cool, but can we go? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like when you hear that, you're like, ugh.
It's almost
But
like you're back
I
in grade
haven't-
school and you're
I
getting
haven't
graded.
had too many of those experiences, just because I'm kind of I got a knack for this, so it's working out. It's really cool.
kind of what you do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's fairly new to my life, the
Right.
last 5 years, but it's storytelling, it's preparation, it's ideas, it's creativity. It's just a different audience. It's really an audience of like the director and the producer and the studio.
Right.
And like from there on, we get it right, and then you put it out into the world and see what the reaction is, and it's pretty cool. But Filter fans are definitely like, "Hey, I want the CD of, I want the CD of your score, man. I love all those drones and it's
Right.
basically
Yeah.
when people get murdered, it's just
And now, speaking of filter music, you recently signed a new deal. So
yeah,
does
Golden
that,
Robot.
Does that mean we're getting some new stuff soon?
Absolutely. There's a new Filter record called "They Got Us Right Where They Want Us at Each Other's Throats."
Oh, awesome.
And it's just slightly political, not as political as Thoughts and Prayers in America
Right.
was, but it's a little bit more introspective, like most Filter records. But it's also just loud and proud and crazy. And
Right. Well, as a new morning show, we need to get some breaking news or some headlines. Can you tell us timeline for this new album? We need something. We're gonna lose our jobs. Give us even a timeline. You don't have to give us an exact date.
I want to say by the beginning of next year.
Okay.
Perfect. Jan 1, new Filter album. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Kotter and Marshall show. Perfect. Nailed it.
Maybe the first quarter.
There we go. That works too.
I like that as well. I was doing research on you and the band and everything, and I literally wrote a question here. Do you mind if I just read it verbatim?
Sure.
Your brother, Robert Patrick, is T1000. How fucking cool is that?
That's badass.
I know, right?
Yeah.
How fucking cool is
I'll
that?
never forget when he told me. This is how young we were. I was 21 or something. I was going on tour with 9 Inch Nails
Yeah.
to go play Lollapalooza.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, "Oh, it's gonna be a big summer." Well, I got some news, brother. Guess who's gonna be the new Terminator in Terminator 2? And I'm like, what? Because the movie Terminator was amazing,
yeah.
and everyone loved it. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm the new, but you can't tell anyone. I'm a polymetamorphosis allo something or other."
And you're like, I'm 21 years old playing with 9 Inch Nails. Whatever that word is, that sounds cool.
Polymetamorphosis allo thing. He's like, "I'm a liquid metal
Oh, that's
Terminator." I'm like, "What?"
awesome. Mine's blown.
And he goes, "Yeah, I'm a liquid metal. Like I'm a. They're going to use the same kind of CGI as the Abyss, the water tentacle in the
Right.
Abyss." And I was like, "Wow, no way."
Were you able to keep the secret?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He goes. "I'll read you a scene," and he read the scene like, "I'm the floor, and then I come up from the ground and turn into one of the cops, and then I stab someone in the eye."
I'd be eating up every word he said. You're my brother, and I hate you a little bit because that's how brothers are. But like, I would
Yep.
be hanging on every word he said
Yeah,
at that
it
very
was.
moment.
And then when the movie came out, and it was 1990 whatever, and I was on tour with Lollapalooza, and he was backstage, and it was just like the Patrick brothers have made it.
Yeah, right? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Peak Patrick Brothers. Nice.
Now, you recently posted something on Instagram, hanging out, Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run.
Yeah.
Huge Star Wars fan.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't gone yet.
Yeah.
How awesome is it?
Smuggler's Run is the greatest theme park attraction there is.
That's high
like
praise.
like period ever.
It's done. Like, you now are living in a, there's 2 times in my life, post Smuggler's Run and pre-Smuggler's Run. I literally, you are taking on an adventure, and it is badass,
Okay, I
and you
gotta go.
feel like you're actually in a Star Wars movie. And they trick you. They really do some things that are like, what? Because you go into this unassuming kind of shuttle, and you go in, and then you look at the screens, and you feel it kind of moving around, and you're like, okay, cool. And then you get taken on a Star Destroyer,
Right.
and through the same door you walk in on, you open it up, and boom, you're in this cold building, like, this actual, you're in
Right.
the hangar bay of a Star Destroyer with all these troopers staring at you, and you're just like, it's real. Right? You're like, well, this is just real. And then you see TIE fighters flying by, and you're like, because it's I don't know if they're model. I don't
Right.
I like, is it because they have a big beautiful screen
so it's like a
up.
3D
It
hologramish
has
type
that,
of thing?
that
Yeah.
Disney 3D. Is it a model? I don't know. It looks fucking cool. I'm here.
Well, you got some kids. The kids go with you.
Oh, hell yeah.
Who was more impressed with that? The kids or you?
Me, dude, I'm the kid.
Yeah.
But there's 3 kids in my house, and I'm the kid.
Right.
I'm the
That's
biggest kid. My wife is like, you're acting like a teenager. I'm like, that's right. Rock and roll keeps you young. Learn to deal, woman.
So you've been a part of some amazing supergroups that I don't think get talked about enough.
Army of Anyone.
Army of
Yes.
Anyone
And the Damning Well.
For a minute, I mean, the guys you played with, their resumes are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, how did that
Score
happen?
the gig. I think it was my voice, but
It's kind of awesome.
and and I was just blessed to be around everybody. Robert and Dean,
Yeah.
DeLeo, those guys are immense.
Yeah.
Just
and people
genius
forget
level.
that Ray from Korn, who took over Korn's
Yeah.
spot has been there for 15 years now. I mean,
He was
in that
Army
band
of
as well.
Anyone, yeah.
And the Damning Well, I mean, you had Danny Lohner, you had oh my
Wes.
gosh, Josh Freese, you had Wes Borland.
Yeah.
And wow,
That was for a movie sound or a movie score.
And you guys just did one song with the Damning Well, and I think you had maybe one other, right? That kind of made.
There was another one, and there was another song that was actually Amy Lee sang on, but because her manager was such a dick,
No.
she. Yeah, I don't mean to be slanderish, but I mean
No.
he was asking for the moon, and it
Yeah.
was like, well, then we just won't do it.
Right.
No.
So now we don't have it. So now we're done. Like we can bend over backwards and try and make things happen, but like when the business end of it is just ridiculous,
Right.
and mean.
Yeah.
It's like, So Amy Lee, there's a song out there. I have it, and I have a digital copy in my.
Sure, let's play it right
now. Yeah, but I don't want to get in trouble because Amy Lee,
Right.
she's got a lawyer.
So I mean, just with those supergroups, I mean, obviously, Filter is your passion and
That's
your
my
main
baby.
focus. But I mean, any thoughts of ever going back? Have you talked to the guys? Has anyone ever hit up? Be like, hey, you just want to do a couple more? You want to do something for the soundtrack? You want to come back and do a one-off show together, like a surprise pop-up or anything?
The DeLeo brothers are pretty. Everybody's kind of busy.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Korn is a huge thing, and they've got to find a new bass player.
Yeah,
and,
with Fieldy out, yeah.
and Robert and Dean are having a blast with Jeff Goot.
Goots, yes.
Jeff Goot.
Yeah,
He's a
inter-
great kid. He is an amazing talent. He sounds like himself, but he also has a little Scott Weiland. So it's like
Got a chance
he
to
gets
got
to-
a chance to interview him. He
Yeah.
he actually right when he came out on the band
Yes.
too, within the first 6 months, he was the nicest guy in the
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
yeah, grateful and just
Yeah.
just touring the world, enjoying the world.
Yeah.
All right. Before we let you out, as we research, you go over Wikipedia, and it's always you take that stuff with a grain of salt. With stuff you got off Wikipedia. So I wanted to do 2 things I found on Wikipedia. You just have to tell me whether they're true or not.
Okay.
Nothing major. Talk about the song "Take a Picture." Song was intended as a tribute to Was Not Was, their song "Dad, I'm in Jail" from their album "What Up, Dog."
Yes. Is it Was Not Was? Dad,
Was
I'm in jail, Dad.
Was Not
I'm
Was.
in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Was Not Was.
Yeah.
They're an amazing
Oh,
band.
great. Yeah.
You can't find that song anywhere.
Right.
And that was pretty much it. It was a tribute. It was an homage to Hey Dad, I'm in jail. You know, because Take a Picture is the most amazing. Because I never really wanted anything to get out about the song as far as like, okay, I think I'm an alcoholic.
Right.
Like, but when it was done and I got sober like 2 years later, I went on tour and I was like, this is a massive cry for help.
Right.
Didn't anyone see this? I'm like, hey, Dad, what do you think about your son now? Like,
Right.
that's a double-ended,
Yeah.
like I'm in jail, Dad.
Right.
You know? And, yeah, it was a really, like, the whole song is just a massive
Okay.
cry for help from being an alcoholic. And,
Okay.
and I've been sober for 18 years, so.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
awesome. All right, one more. Referring to the song "Welcome to the Fold," title of the song is based on an album of the same name released in 1998 by a novelty folk rock band from Cleveland called 100,000 Leagues
Under my nutsack.
Also true?
True?
Someone, I don't know how it happened, but we were playing Welcome to the Fold, and it was like, man, this is badass. And my friend goes, Frank Cavanaugh goes, the bass player at the time, was like, Welcome to the Fold. And I was like, fucking A.
Yeah.
What a fucking title. And inadvertently, he goes, well, I kind of told you the name on you know, the nutsacks. But I was like, fuck it, it's a song title.
great.
I could
Right.
call it Star Wars and,
Yeah.
and never,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a song title,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
so. But yeah, it was kind of an homage to my friend Robert, what's his name? No, not Stephen. Robbie Stevens, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, Robbie Stevens from Cleveland. He's
Well,
a good kid.
We appreciate you stopping by. Obviously, cannot wait for tonight.
It's going to
Everyone,
be off the
so
chain.
excited.
come on down. 20th anniversary show of Rock 106.1. I've got Sponge, Filter, Puddle of Mud, Lilac, and Whaleboat. We got a festival for you guys
It's a
today.
big festival, and there's all kinds of food trucks,
Yeah.
and there's all kinds of goodies. And
Sell it, man. Sell it for us.
It's going to be awesome. And we got monsters and
The
we got all
Coca-Colas,
kind- we got the
beers.
we got the Coca-Colas and the monsters, and this is my southern accent. It's not very good.
You're nailing it.
Yeah, fit right in.
Just throw a y'all in there.
So my mother's from Little Rock, and
Okay.
we grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, for a little while, and we all had southern accents for a little while, and then we moved up north because my dad got a job at a
Right.
bank, and
Right.
we lost our southern accents. But whenever I come back, I'm always like, "Hey, yeah, what's up?
Fit right in.
How y'all doing?
You should open the show like that.
How y'all doing, Savannah?"
Yes, you have our approval for that.
All right, Filter's going on at 6:15. Richard, thank you so much, man.
Thank
It's
you
gonna
for
be a great
having
show.
me.
Thank
This
you
is
so
going
much.
to be a blast.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.